All right, so let's talk for a second about this Chen DOJ indictment that's been making the rounds today. Essentially, the accusation is that Chen took money from the Russian government to found Tenet Media and then lied to influencers like Tim Pool and Dave Rubin and Benny Johnson about where the money was coming from in order to shill Russian disinformation in the election. Does this story sound familiar to anyone else? And the thing that I think is so interesting about this is one of the first things I posted on Twitter when I found out about it was pay attention to who is denouncing Chen. Pay attention to who is throwing her under the bus. Because I'll tell you this, I've been around this space, peripheral to this space for 4.5 years now. Chen has been one of the few steady, real, authentic people in the space. She is one of the good ones. I know that for sure. And so if I'm looking at the people who are throwing her under the bus and denouncing her, and quite frankly, and I believe this regardless of whether or not this actually happened, I quite frankly, and this might be controversial, I don't care if Chen took money from Russia. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me at all. But when I see all of the worst possible people on the internet denouncing one of the real influencers, and here's the kicker of it, you've got people like Ashley St. Clair, you've got people like Blair White, you've got people like James Lindsay. Of course James Lindsay is involved in this. Of course James Lindsay is saying things. What have I said about him all along? You got people like Mike Cernovich, you got people like Will Chamberlain, Benny Johnson, Tim Pool. I would throw all of these people. Dave Rubin is one of the worst people on the internet, and I say that as someone who used to go on his show. You've got literally all the worst people on the internet saying, guys, the Department of Justice, they're telling the truth this time. No, seriously, the DOJ is telling the truth. Are you kidding me? Chen is one of the good ones. And so if I can look at the people who are coming out against her, and they are a clown car of the worst possible people on the internet, that have always been the worst possible people on the internet, that have always been the grifters, that have always been the people who will toe the line and shill the narrative and never deviate from the approved talking points, and that's why they get lifted up. That's why they get lifted up. There is a reason that people get popular on the internet. And I promise you, it is not organic. It's not because they're the smartest. It's not because they're the funniest, not because they're the best entertainers. It is always and universally because they are controllable and they will toe the line and they are saying the things that people want them to say. Chen, for several months now, has been, and I've talked about this on my show, I have thought that Chen was probably going to end up in trouble at some point because she has not been following the approved narrative on Israel. And this has been going on for months and months and months and months and months. Chen keeps tiptoeing away from the approved narrative on Israel. And now all of a sudden, there's a DOJ indictment saying Chen is Russian disinformation. And every one of the worst influencers on the internet, again, James Lindsay, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Ashley St. Clair, who else? Mike Cernovich, Will Chamberlain. All of the worst people on the internet are saying, guys, let's believe the government. The government's definitely telling the truth about Russian disinformation this time. Use your brains, guys. Use your brains. You know, October 7th was an interesting day because October 7th was a day in which you could see who the real influencers are. And when I say influencers, you could see who the real people are that have platforms on the internet. You could see people like Elijah Schaffer. You could see people like Nick Fuentes. You could see the people who were speaking up. Chen was one of those people. Cassandra Fairbanks, Cassandra McDonald. You could see the people who were real and who were authentic in their beliefs and the people who are not going to be paid to shill talking points. All of a sudden, it was very easy to identify those people. And on the other side of the coin, who'd you have? Dave Rubin, James Lindsay, Ashley St. Clair, the trigonometry guys, some of the biggest goddamn shills on the internet. You had all the same people, a Douglas Murray. God, don't even get me started. You had all the worst people on the internet following the approved narrative. You had these other people over here on the other side that were really taking issue with some of the approved talking points, and the dividing line was very clear between the two, and it was kind of like a reset for a lot of people. All of a sudden, you can see, okay, you're real, you're fake, Daily Wire, you're fake, we see you, Jeremy Boring, we see you, Ben Shapiro, we see you, Andrew Klavan, we see you. Same thing is true with this Chen thing, which is, watch who denounces her. Watch who speaks out in her favor. Watch who takes her side. Watch who denounces her. Because I don't believe for one red second that anyone actually thinks that the DOJ, a couple months before the election, is telling the truth when they release this indictment on a Russian disinformation campaign. And like I said, and this may be controversial, I don't care if Lauren Chen took money from the Russian. I don't care. I don't care. Lauren Chen is Canadian. Lauren Chen has a show on the internet. Like, can everyone have some perspective? What I care about is who is real and who's a paid shill. Who is willing to tell you the truth and go out on a limb, and who will lie to your face and smile as they take your money. Pay attention. It will become very clear who you should believe, who you should trust, and who you shouldn't. And for me, I will always have the back of Lauren Chen. I think Lauren Chen is incredible. I think she's a good egg. I think that she is incredible on so many different levels. And I say that as someone like, I'm not like friends with her or something. I don't have her number. I'm not like, we're not BFFs. We're not hanging out on the weekend. We've exchanged a DM here or there. I've never even been on her show, but I know enough about her and how she operates that I absolutely believe that she's worth supporting. And so when I see people going against her, that's a sign that they're the ones that are pushing the narrative, the approved talking points, and that the reason Lauren Chen is in trouble is that she deviated from the narrative. That's all it is. All right, those are my thoughts. See you soon.